Personally, I believe that Nigeria could be the best breadbasket of even the world, right? I mean, like even in the First Republic, we grew up to know that of cocoa being exported, of rubber being exported, of cola nut and whatever. You understand? You see, the actual fact is that all those things are not there now. They are not there for now. And I believe that even for the common man to find his daily meal is a problem. Especially even if we talk of a farmer. I know of farmers in Western Nigeria that cannot have a full meal in a day. If you're a farmer and you cannot feed yourself, how can you feed others? You understand what I'm saying? So that's why I tend to disagree with the fact, I mean, good, Nigeria has the resources. Whatever, agri resources, mineral resources, capital resources, human resources, you know, but the thing is that what I believe is the fact that we always mess up at the point of coordination, right? At the point of coordination. And I don't know. And it's like you are used to Nigeria. Am I right?
Of course. Yeah, definitely.
Good. So you see, what I'm saying is not news to you, is it?
It's not new. Actually, it's not new to me.
So let's go on. Now, how is it that majority of African leaders want to perpetuate themselves in power? They want to prolong themselves in power and possibly even have their children inherit the power. Hello?
Yes, I can hear you.
Yeah. Go on and answer me.
Yes. You talk about why is it that most African leaders wants to shift power to their children, right?
Even perpetuating themselves, then maybe after they die or whatever, they now turn it into the power into their children.
A kingdom. Yeah. When you look at it critically, you discover that most of them have swear their hands into dirty water. And for that reason, then they know that after their reign of power, most of their family and their children, they will suffer, and most of they corrupted the estate, the financial aspect, most of the money that they have taken from people. For instance, corruption is not only about bribery. People, especially the poor, get hurt when resources are being wasted. You understand? So let us take, you mentioned about Nigeria. There are some poor people who have the opportunity of having large-scale lands, farms, and so on. That farms is being taken from them by the government, by those authorities. And since they will be leaving power, they look at it as a challenge after they must have gone, that their children, they will face difficulties. And for that reason, they will look for all possibilities to protect the interests of their children and the instead of the interest of what they have already left behind. So the only means for them now is to hang into power and make that nation a kingdom, whereby the rulership issue is being turned around only within their family members. And those who actually help them to be in that leadership aspect.
I'll answer you by saying that there is a saying among the Yorubas that children that we don't train or that we did not train will more or less sell our estates. Do you understand that? I mean,
I'm getting you.
children who weren't trained. And in any case, I believe that if you are a governor or even a councillor, right, and you have performed your task well, you don't even need to steal. Because your name will be there for your children. Okay, for instance, I can talk confidently of late Governor Jakonde of Lagos State. He performed well.
Mm-hmm.
He performed very well. Or let's say even Obafemi Awolowo of the Western region in those days. You know, you see, personally, I don't believe leaders have to steal. But see, and in the same vein, I believe the leaders are being encouraged by those who should have known better. They might be learned, they might be whatever, you know. But the thing is that, I mean, if they are supporting them, because, okay, like, for instance, if I'm the commissioner for finance, and the governor says, okay, he wants this much, and I refuse, or I blow it out, right?
Yes.
That thing, the corruption will be kind of limited.
Exactly.
But you see, the thing is that I believe that most of us followers, because generally I don't blame leaders, because I believe that leaders will graduate from followership. So if the followers are not good, or if the followers are complacent, right, then leaders will have their way. Like I told you of followers getting flip-flops, getting kuli kuli gari, all those nonsensical things. You see, in effect, what I'm saying is that we, the followers, we need to think hard. We need to think hard and sort ourselves out.
Let me just come in a little bit.
All right.
What you are saying is actually true. But if you look at it critically, you will understand that Nigeria 20 years back is not Nigeria today. Most leaders who were corrupt to an extent have come of age. And if you look at the new Nigeria, I call it new Nigeria because you have vibrant, young, intellectual, and educated people who understand, who have studied abroad, who have studied in the Western world, and they understand what is leadership and management techniques, that they can easily transform, that they can easily create job opportunities and exploit what Nigeria has as natural resources for the betterment of its citizens and create job opportunities. Far back, 10 years, 15 years back, it will be difficult to see somebody from Nigeria that have that charisma, that is intelligent in such a manner that he can increase the GDP of Nigeria in terms of their resources, in terms of infrastructures. But today, if you look, an average Nigerian, he is not able to afford for, he or she is not able to afford for a square meal per day. Not that Nigeria does not have the opportunity to render its citizens to boost their own livelihoods. I will quote you a typical example of the three main candidates who are now vying for the president, the presidential election coming next February. You have somebody like Tinubu. I call him, in short, I don't even need to talk about that one. Action speaks for itself. You see somebody like Atiku. If you look at his agenda plans, they are not different from that of Buhari. Before Buhari came to power, we had the issue of Boko Haram, insecurity in Nigeria. That is the main issue that Nigerians, up to date, they were crying. And in any economy, in any country, if you want the economy to grow, the first thing you have to think about is security. Without security in any country, the nation cannot survive. The next candidate, that is a candidate that I've been following for a couple of years now. That's a square peg on a square hole. And when I talk about square peg on a square hole, I talk based on my own personal survey that I have talked with young Nigerians, youth, graduates, intellectuals, somebody like Peter Obi. If you look at Peter Obi's manifestos, you will understand that he is vying for a new Nigeria. I don't believe that Nigeria today is a country that will face challenges and difficulties in terms of power supply. So if I look at it critically, just look at the 7 key agenda points of Peter Obi. Then you look at the spokesperson for Peter Obi, Kenneth Okonkwo, crossing the carpet from the ruling party now to the Labour Party, and you look at the agenda plan. I strongly believe that that is somebody who understands what Nigeria is out for and what Nigerians they want. Then look at their presidential campaign. You understand that Nigerians are tired, they are fed up. Among the key candidates, bring all the candidates to bring out their manifestos or their project plans for the next 5 years to come or the next 3 years. It speaks for itself. Number one is security and Nigeria, which implies that Nigeria needs unity. Look at the issue of Boko Haram. That is his number one agenda: security and uniting Nigeria. Effective legal institutional reform. Productive center growth for food security. If you look at it, let's be honest. Look at the other candidates. What do they have to bring on the table? Let's be honest.
But then, let me put this to you. The incumbent, that's Mr. Buhari, right?
Yeah.
He had this fine manifesto. He said he will bring back the naira that it will equal the dollar. He will make sure Boko Haram goes away. He will make sure food is available and all those things. Well, maybe he will do it tomorrow. I don't know of now.
It is, I'm sorry to say this, it is practically impossible. The manifestos that the incumbent has, that was an agenda plan. He has been there for, I think it's 6 years, close to 6 years.
7 years plus.
Good, 7 years plus. And one of his manifestos has not been achieved. Look at what is happening in the South. In the North, you have Boko Haram are killing people. All his manifestos, he has failed. And this is an opportunity for him to tell Nigeria that I am sorry.
I really fall into your thoughts. You see, the thing is that in the first instance, it is not rocket science to provide basic amenities for the people. It's not rocket science to provide food for the people. It's not rocket science to make sure that Nigerian crude oil is refined in Nigeria. But what do we have? I mean, in our foolishness, we mine crude oil, we export it, we pay shipping costs, then we pay the refinery costs and whatever, then we now import it again. And by the way, you know, no matter what happens, when you export it, you don't get all the resources back again. You see, and I believe this even borders a lot on security. Okay, let's go on. Let's go on. Now, we were talking about leaders perpetuating themselves in power and all those things. You know, okay, the president of your country, and all those, in fact, you find them all around. But then let's just, let's go on. Now, where will you tell Africans who want to go to the Western countries?
That's a good one. My advice to any African going to a Western country is that Africa has a lot of resources. Africa has a lot of potentials. The only thing with Africa is, the only thing they need is for them to have good leadership and strong anti-corruption laws. If you find yourself in Africa, calm yourself that God loves you, because the challenges that some of us we are facing abroad is not the same challenges that some of our brothers back home are facing. But if you have never put on somebody's shoes, you never understand what that person is going through. So my advice to my fellow brothers in Africa is that is the matter of coordinating and organizing good leadership to take Africa to the next step. I strongly believe that if that is done, then Africa will be one of the best continents in the world. Because if we look at it critically in terms of natural resources, I think Africa is the first continent in the world in terms of natural resources. Talk less of food and other issues, because Africa is still organic, raw.
You see, it's easy to say these things, but who will bail the cat? I mean, find leaders here, leaders there, good. But who are the ones performing? Did you hear me?
Can you take it again?
Yeah. I mean, okay, is leaders could be said to be cheap. No, I mean leadership. I mean, you find all this like I always refer. I love Yoruba, so I always refer to Yoruba proverbs and so on. He said a Yoruba proverb says that on the day the elephant dies, right?
Yes.
On the day the elephant dies, you will now be seeing all sorts of machetes. All sorts of machetes.
Yes, for everybody
like
to
cutlass,
have a share.
axe, Now, you see, everybody would like to be a leader. But how many of them are qualitative? You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good one. What you are saying is actually right. There is something that we also have to take into consideration. The traditional values of Africa. That's what makes you have that sense of belonging and that sense of identity. Because without your tradition, your identity is not the piece of paper that or your passport that you travel with it along. Even the Westerners, they have their culture, they have their leadership aspect. Apart from political issues or political leadership aspect or whatsoever, they have their cultural values, their traditional leadership aspect that they do pay allegiance to. So that goes the same to Africa. And that's the reason why we are standing up and saying that most of our leaders should not be involved in politics. This is one of the main issues that is destroying the leadership charisma and leadership aspect of most African countries, because most of their leaders, they get into politics and they do swell their hands now with dirty water. And at the end now, you don't have you don't have the train of picking out or coming out with a good leader who can easily manage the community, talk less of the country. So most of our leaders, we call them traditional leaders. We don't call them actually leaders, because there's a difference between a traditional leader and the president of
a political leader.
A political leader. So automatically, we are standing up and saying that most of our traditional leaders should be taken out of politics in such a manner that their dignity and their rights and their privilege will always be there, rather than involving into politics. Once they involve into politics, what comes after that is corruption, because we actually respect our traditional values, and respecting our traditional values, it takes us back to our kingmakers. For instance, in a village, you can be taxed to pay 2 bags of yams, and if it comes directly from our traditional rulers, I strongly believe that you have to respect that authority, or else you'll be vanished from the village. So automatically, most of the political leaders, they know that if they get rid of our traditional leaders, that will be the end of the whole issue. So most traditional rulers back home should be barred from politics.
Okay. Now, let's imagine you become a president, a governor, a local government chairman, or whatever. What are the first three things you will do?
Well, the first thing, if I look at it critically in the context of Nigeria now, the first thing I'll look at about is security and uniting Nigeria, because Nigeria is not united. There is a lot of insecurity in Nigeria. Nigeria is not united. You create a forum for reconciliation, mediation, compassionate listening. People should talk to each other to bring Nigeria together to form a new Nigeria. That's the first thing I would do. The second thing I would do is I would do effective legal institutional reform before I start looking at human capital development for effective competitiveness. Those are just the few I have in mind that I can offer to you for now.
Okay. I may have other ideas, but then you are the person on the spot. So let me just now let's go on to if like you are in Canada now, and I believe that's what happens in most of the Western nations. Okay, like we had an incident, I think in Paris on Friday, where there was a man that shot 3 migrants, right?
Yes.
And as a result, there was bedlam in Paris. People started rioting. Now, come back home. If you have you observed how Canadians are orderly?
Actually, to be honest, when we talk about orderly, yes, we may say that Canadians are orderly based on the average population of each race.
Okay.
And the productivity of each race to the economy. If I say that, I strongly believe you understand what I'm talking about.
Of course, I know. I understand you. I understand.
Yes. I would not like to dive in. I would not like to go deeper and deeper. But based on my answer that I've given you, you understand what I'm talking about.
Okay, I do.
And this is why I will not totally agree that Canada is handling the situation to an extent, but out of the best of my knowledge, I applaud them for that, but they are doing their utmost best. But there are still some gaps and loops that they have to follow up. But if you want to compare Canada with another nation around the world, I think Canada is doing a tremendous job.
Now let's go to another question. During this festive season, I've observed, I mean, they're always there anyway, but then they are now going out, all these organizations trying to help people who do not have food, who are homeless and whatever. Even the YWCA, the YMCA, I think in Nigeria, you only find them in the posh areas. Is that okay? But here, here, the YMCA is approachable. the YWCA is approachable, and so on. So why do we have this difference?
Yeah, I strongly believe that it's a little bit different because of the structural organs of the various institutions that they have. That is why you see it a little bit different. And I will still throw it back to you that we are in the Western world, and the way the Westerners, they do handle most of their principles and their values, they make you to understand that their nation or any institution is being grown up, or it's being progressed based on their principles and their values. For instance, Canada here, they have this sense of belonging, of checking on your neighbor, helping one another if need arises. And number three, when you see something, you say something. These are indicators that are being placed. Most of their children, they grow up, they see it. Volunteering is part and parcel of them. Helping one another, part and parcel of them. It's something that have been nurtured right from birth, that they are using it as principles and values to build their own society. And those are some of the differences that you find. It will be difficult for you to find back home as compared to Canada. We have been living here for quite some time, and I will still repeat, and I will tell you that it's not everything that you see in Canada it's good, but I strongly believe, and
of course, I know.
I will tell you that Canada is doing a tremendous job.
That's great. Now, let's come to the question about your happiest day so far.
This is a little bit difficult for me, but it's simple. The happiest day so far in my life is when I become a full permanent resident in Canada. That's the happiest day in my life.
What about your most embarrassing moment?
My most embarrassing that one I'll laugh, because why do I
you are free not to answer.
Yeah, no, it's simple to answer. It's very simple for me to answer, but I'll just say I'll keep it personally, because the most embarrassing day in my life.
No qualms.
Yeah.
It's been nice talking to you. I mean,
it's a situation that you always, I'm sorry to say this, it always dates back to my roots.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, yeah. So, I wish you all the best in all your undertakings. I mean, you've really been a responsive participant, right? So, goodbye.
I just want to seize this opportunity for telling you that it was a pleasure, and thanks for coming, and I wish you all the best. And I'm always present, and I'm always in their position if need be, whatever time, whatever day you deem necessary to talk to me again. You are always welcome.
Oh, thanks so much. Bye.
It has been nice talking to you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.